What's up, Florida fans? Zach Albaverdi and Nick Del Torre coming to you live from the Swamp, Steve Spurrier, Florida Field, following the Gators' first open practice in fall camp since 2014. It's been almost a decade, Nick, since we got to do this. We were both covering the team the last time they had open practices, so it was a little bit of a treat today, and I think we had some things that we wanted to see out of this practice, and I think we got some questions answered.
Yeah, I mean, we get every single practice for the most part is open to us, but it's like 15 minutes and just individual drills. So I think a lot of fans come out today and they get to see what goes into it. And it can be boring. Like, listen, it's football practice. It's a lot of repetition. It's hot. It is humid. Looks like it's about to rain. We're going to squeeze this in before that happens.
We beat the rain today, though.
Yeah.
That was good.
But it was good for us to see 11 on 11, to see 7 on 7, to kind of see when they go ones against ones, twos against twos, to kind of see where guys are matching up.
Yep.
And listen, we're still 3-some weeks away from the first game, so there can be some moving and shaking there as well. But just to see where guys stand 5 practices into fall camp is really beneficial for our coverage.
No doubt, and I think a lot of position battles that have been taking place, obviously the one that everybody had their eyes on was quarterback, and I think we saw today that there's not much of a competition there. This is Graham Mertz's job. He's taken the majority of the first team reps throughout camp. He did it once again today, and I thought he looked pretty good. I didn't think he played as bad in the spring game as I know some Florida fans felt, but today he looked more comfortable running the offense. He went through his progressions pretty well, and I think the most positive was that he didn't have Ricky Pearsall today. So his go-to target wasn't out there. He spread the ball to what I counted 6 different receivers during 11 on 11, including the tight ends and running backs. So he was spreading the wealth. He was, not just locking in on one guy, and I thought that he was clearly QB1 today.
Yeah, I think the question we should be asking is there a battle for QB2?
Yeah.
In Max Brown or Jack Miller? I think
Max dropped a dime today.
Yeah, you're not going to ask you're not going to ask Graham to be Kyle Trask. You're not going to ask him to throw the ball 45 times a game. He's not Danny Warfel. You need to lean on the offensive line. You need to lean on the running attack, which means Graham needs to hit those short passes, intermediate passes.
Which he did today.
Which keep defenses honest. I think there's not really a surprise. Like, Florida's not going to show up on August 31st and be like, oh man, I didn't think Florida's going to throw the ball this much. Like, this is a team that's going to want to run the football, control the clock, and you need a quarterback that is consistently hitting those passes that he needs to, the short to intermediate routes.
And I think another pretty significant development from today was Micah Mazuka going through 11 on 11 with a non-contact jersey, but full go. Taking on blocks, taking on defensive linemen. That was a really encouraging sign to see if you're looking at whether or not he's going to start for the season opener. Right now, I would say he's on schedule. Based on the way that he looked today, that's huge for the offensive line.
Encouraging to me is seeing Najee Harris get some first-team reps. The freshman from IMG, true freshman. How it's such a projection position when you're recruiting offensive linemen. You have to project what they're going to be in a couple of years. This guy's only been here a couple months, and he's already getting first-team reps and mixing in right behind Micah Mazuka. So I think you never want someone to get injured, but I think Najee Harris is taking the opportunity and running with it, getting more first-team reps with Micah Mazuka, kind of easing his way back in.
And I think we also had our eyes on who's going to be catching passes today from Mertz. Ricky Pearsall was not out, so that kind of even gave us more options to look at. Thought Burke was involved, Jaquavon Fraziers was involved, Khalil Jackson made some catches, but to me, the guy that stood out, Arliss Boarding him, as Nick has let me know his last name is properly pronounced. So look, he is going to be one of the playmakers for Florida at the tight end position, probably their best one. He caught a touchdown today from Graham Mertz, had another pass in 11 on 11 that he caught, and he's clearly someone that they're going to involve in terms of the pass catching element.
Yeah, I don't know if he's where Dante Sanders or Jonathan Odomar in terms of blocking, but he's just different, and he's the guy that is going to catch passes in that wide receiver room. I think the other guy that I was really impressed with in terms of catching passes is Caleb Douglas. We keep seeing him build on the strong spring that he had. Wearing a new number now, so look out for number 4.
He looks quicker in that number 4.
Well, there's less paint on the shirt, so you can run a little faster. But Caleb Douglas is a guy who, to me, played quarterback for most of his high school career. So there's an adjustment, there's a learning curve, and right now he looks the best he ever has, in my opinion, through 5 practices at fall camp.
before we get into some of the guys on the defensive side, let's start with Austin Armstrong. Loudest guy on the field, most energetic guy on the field, in a great way too. But man, he definitely stood out today. Just being able to watch him work with the defense, he does not let anything slide.
Yeah.
But he does a good job of coaching his guys up. He might blow a gasket right when he sees a blown assignment, but then he will walk over and work through the guys on their issues. So I was really impressed with him today. And then I think, he had some help on the sideline, Nick. A guy calling plays right next to him, Shamar James, had a sheet in his hand and was still trying to stay busy despite not being able to play. He suffered a leg injury this week. Left leg was wrapped up in a brace, so this was kind of an opportunity for the other guys at inside linebacker. And shout out to Manny Nunnery. I think that he got more reps with the starters than he probably would have and took advantage of it. I know there was one play that you had in our thread, Nick, where he had a nice run fit, and I think that he's a guy that is probably a little bit more valued in that linebacker room than maybe we realize. I know the staff likes him.
We were thinking, okay, well, maybe a special teams guy, someone who might be a special teams player of the year for Florida, maybe someone who can block a punt or a kick. We haven't seen that in forever. But what I saw today was just veteran linebacking from him, and just seeing a play develop, and everything is still new to him in terms of what they're asking him to do here, but just being a football player. And, hey, I saw a hole, I could tell what the offense was trying to do, filled my hole, filled my assignment, and made it stop.
And then Roger Mitchell probably had the hit of the day right here, literally right here, as Johnson was going to score. Mitchell lit him up. His helmet came off as he was hitting. And then another huge hit today was Treyon Webb.
Poor Miguel Mitchell has, I think it was Cam Carroll ran through him in the spring, and Florida put it out, and then it was during a period where we couldn't film. But yeah, I think Miguel Mitchell has an imprint of Treyon Webb's helmet in his chest tonight.
Although one thing I will say was a little bit surprised, and I guess it's understandable, but at least at this point in camp, Kamari Wilson and Miguel Mitchell seem to be getting the majority of the reps with the starters, as opposed to R.J. Moten, who's still new to this program. I think at some point he is going to be one of your starters. But at least today, they're giving not only Wilson and Miguel Mitchell some opportunities, but Jordan Castell, man, he had a pass breakup right here in the end zone. Austin Armstrong went crazy after he made the play. But between him, Jakeem Jackson, Dejon Johnson, all of those guys got run with the ones today. I know you were really impressed with Dejon, and he had another pick. Keep pointing out plays that happened right here, but he had a pick right here in the end zone. So he's a guy that I think, despite just showing up here, and he wasn't an early enrollee, I think he might be on a fast track to get some playing time as a freshman.
Mustard on the beat, mustard on the field.
2 pick sixes. And then I think the last thing, Nick, you got to see your special teams unit, which was great, but we got to see some other guys returning punts with Ricky not here.
Yeah, I think the big one with Ricky, once Ricky said he was going to be returning punts at Media Day, I think the fan base it just went nuts. One that I really want to see, I think, is Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson. Dropped one today. It might be something new for him. Definitely the first time he's been in this stadium with this backdrop trying to catch them. But he's someone with his explosiveness. And if you're looking at, do I really want Ricky Pearsall to catch a helmet to the knee returning a punt? And what does that do to the offense? I think, and not to say that he's expendable, but I think there's a lot of other players you'd rather returning punts than Ricky Pearsall. And I think Eugene Wilson is someone who has that same kind of skill set, but maybe doesn't mean as much to the offense at this point of his career that Ricky Pearsall does to the Gators this season.
And then one note, too, one of the reasons I think a lot of those freshman cornerbacks got some run today was no Devin Moore. So, obviously an advantage for Jalen Kimber there. We'll see how long Moore is out. But we learned a lot today. Make sure you go to Gators Online and check out all of our coverage from camp. We've got the 3 freshmen that impressed, transfers that impressed. We'll have some news and highlights that came out from today. We had Keith Niebuhr on the scene and providing some coverage as well. So we blew it out, Nick. We don't get many opportunities to come out to this, so we enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, all the fans that came out. Pretty good crowd for a hot day.
Yeah. Hot day, short notice.
Yeah, we'll be back here again week 2 because we'll be on the road at Utah for season opener. So we're looking forward to that. Next time we join you guys in person like this will probably be from Salt Lake City. So until then, for Nick Del Torre, I'm Zach Alberti.